So in the space of like 72 hours, the narrative has covered every single possible outcome, from no money to loads of money, from don't want to back Conte to willing to back Conte, to from willing to back Conte but only on Tottenham's terms, to prepared to back Conte but only on Conte's terms. So pick the bones out of it, guys. Where are we? Hi there guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler, Bugsley Malone's in front of me. This is episode 124 of Tottenham Walks. We hope you're all happy and healthy and enjoying the last couple of days of 2022. A year to forget, I think, for most, huh? Best of luck with next year, guys. I hope we all start to rally. Please do me a favour, guys, like the video if you haven't already. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's free, costs you nothing, helps the channel. Please hit the notification bell if you'd like to keep abreast of when we drop new content, and also please feel free to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's topic. And today's topic is going to be somewhat of a continuation of yesterday's video, which was more around the mood in the Tottenham Hotspur. Hi guys. Community at the moment, but I'm also going to be dropping in some news items out that came out today regarding more player links to the club. Before I get going, guys, I just want to start by saying, like, it's very palpable, it's very tangible, the mood, the shift, you know, on Twitter and across YouTube and everywhere, basically, that there is this growing frustration, anxiety, anger, you know, and lacking of belief in where we're at, where we're going. And like I said yesterday, I know that there's lots of contributing factors to that narrative. In part, it was the game, the poor performance, the nothing has changed, second half FC thing. A little bit of it maybe was because other clubs have done some early business and Tottenham haven't. And then, of course, compounding on that was the news that was coming out from certain journalists that, you know, Tottenham won't back Conte or don't have the funds to back Conte, which was, you know, a head scratcher and pretty hard to believe for most. But guys, what I would say, if you actually look at, in summary, the shift of the narrative just around the transfer funds in the last 72 hours, there's been 4 or 5 distinctly different positions that have come out. First of all, it started with Tottenham have told Conte there's just no money or not enough money to go around, which is incredibly upsetting to hear, because there is 50 million sitting in escrow that wasn't taken. You know, square that circle for me. So that's the first bit. Then it comes out and says, you know, Tottenham, there is money, but Tottenham aren't sure if they want to back Conte because of the contract thing. Okay, so there's a slight pivot there. Then it's, there is money, from Conte's mouth, there is money, but it has to be within regards to a Tottenham philosophy of young players with low wage demands. And now it's, Tottenham have got money and they are willing to back Conte. And then most recently, is Tottenham do have money, they are willing to back Conte, but Conte's putting the limitations on it. He doesn't want a bloated squad. He wants to replace what we have. So in the space of like 72 hours, the narrative has covered every single possible outcome, from no money to loads of money, from don't want to back Conte to willing to back Conte, to from willing to back Conte but only on Tottenham's terms, to prepared to back Conte but only on Conte's terms. So pick the bones out of it, guys. Where are we? And what should your mood be based on what I've just said? All those different narratives. Well, the truth is that 90% of that stuff has come from journalists who are paid to create content, to get attention, to get eyeballs, and to push somewhat agendas. Some of that stuff will have come from journalists making it up. Some of it will have come from journalists talking to club insiders. But then you have to ask the question, well, what's the agenda of those insiders? Do they like Levy? Do they hate Levy? Do they like Conte or not? Etc. How much truth is there to be taken? Well, who knows? In a nutshell, guys, who the fuck knows? What I would say is that the only bits that you should really pay or lean too much attention into are probably the bits that come from the horse's mouth, from Conte or from Daniel Levy. At least you get some level of direction. Now, there still might be games being played there, and we can interpret that, but when it comes to the journalists, I think we should all take every bit of that with a pinch of salt. When it comes to Conte saying it's got to be under Tottenham's philosophy, I think that has more weight to it than the latest one, which is there is money to spend, but Conte wants it, wants to have a less bloated squad. That didn't come from Conte. The thing that Conte said was there is money, but it's under the Tottenham philosophy. So I think that should be the place where we lend and lean most of our I guess faith in, if any. But at the same time, then all day long today and yesterday, we're linked again, heavily linked with players that don't fit that narrative. Yesterday I'm reading that Tottenham are in a straight battle with Manchester United over Stefan de Vrij, a player that I would absolutely love to have and that would calm most people's fears immediately, I think. And then I also read this morning that Tottenham they've allegedly put in a €15 million, £13 million bid for Frank Kessie. Now, if there's one thing that's consistent about Frank Kessie and Stefan de Vrij, it's that they do not fit the model of young, talented players who don't have high wage demands. Stefan de Vrij is 31. This will be his last big contract. He's out of contract at Inter. If he comes to Tottenham, then it won't be on low wages. He'll be getting 150 grand a week. And Frank Kessie joined Barca, I think only 6 months ago. Hasn't really played that much. I don't think he really fitted into the system, but he's on big wages as well. He's on big wages. A really good player. By the way, if you ever go and get a chance, check out, if you get to go and look at Y-Scout, check out Frank Kessie in his, the stats, the video clips that relate to his ground duels. You'll never see a player who can so easily dispossess another player who's running with the ball than from just leaning into him. It's insane. There's like 25 clips, one after another, of seeing players driving with the ball at their feet, Kessie just running alongside them and then just gently leaning in. He's such a strong unit of a guy. But either way, I'm getting off topic. We don't need him. Or do we? Well, look, I don't think we do. I think that we need centre-backs. So do you. I know every single person who's reasonable believes that we need centre-backs and a right wing-back over everything else. But Conte said he doesn't. Conte says he doesn't. Now, why did he say that? Was he saying it to protect the confidence that is already rock bottom of certain defending players? Maybe there's logic to that narrative, to that argument. But if you go back in time, Conte hasn't exactly taken too much time out of his day to protect players from his feelings. You know, he threw Jed Spence under the bus on the guy's first day. He's quite often spoken very unnecessarily highly of certain players before, and very unnecessarily low of either the team as an overall or in specific areas. So I don't necessarily think that he does say things to protect players, or at least he doesn't always do that. So we don't know. Maybe he genuinely doesn't think that the centre-back is a priority. Maybe he genuinely looks at that and then looks at the other areas of the pitch and thinks that the wing-forward position or the striker position is more vulnerable to an injury than the centre-backs are. Maybe he thinks there's more of a plateau, less of a variance across the qualities of the 6 defenders that we have than the drop-off if another injury happens to someone up top. And there is logic to that as well, guys, because we saw against Brentford, there was nobody on. There's Brian Hill on the bench, and he doesn't even like Brian Hill, won't give him any minutes, which I disagree with, but that's for a different topic, different day. And so maybe he just genuinely thinks, if all I can get is 3 players, then maybe the right wing back and a midfielder and a forward is more important to me than a centre back. And if that's the case, as much as we would all probably disagree, then here's my question for you. To those of you that have made your mind up about Levy out, to those of you that are already championing this narrative getting amplified right now, even though the window hasn't happened yet. And I'm all for it, by the way. Do what you want. Like, far from me to tell anyone how to behave or how to act, but if you say back Conte, then surely that phrase has to be consistent. You have to trust Conte when he says, I don't need a centre-back. You have to trust Conte when he decides that Sonny's form is impervious to being substituted. You have to trust Conte when he thinks that Emerson Royale is the best that we have at right wing back. If you're saying back Conte, then everything that he does should have your faith and your permission and your support. If not, then I would and should feel like it's okay to ask for a bit more accountability being spread in other directions than it currently is by some people. Because I believe that some of the people that scream back Conte, Levy out, I believe that in reality, deep down, that they want to allocate more accountability to Conte than they currently do, or at least audibly espouse, because they feel like if they were to allocate any responsibility in any other direction other than the ownership, then it dilutes that narrative. And that's fine. Do the ends justify the means? That's fine if that's what you want to do. To me, though, I think a reasonable, balanced approach has more than enough wiggle room to lay a lot of criticism and blame at the door and the feet of Joe Lewis, Daniel Levy. There's definitely some space for Paratici to get a sledgehammer of blame as well through the jaw. I think a lot of the players need to step up, stand up, take some responsibility, not just the players that we point to like Eric Dyer, who make individual mistakes because their confidence is rock bottom, and when you're a bad player and you're out of form and your confidence is low, then of course you're going to look just absolutely terrible. But other players like Sonny, like Romero, like Hugo Lloris, they should get more blame and more criticism than they do, but they don't. Anyway, guys, like I say, biggest window coming up. I'm more than happy to move and pivot my belief system and my weight behind certain movements pending certain outcomes, but I'm going to hold tight until February the 1st because I don't know which news item to believe. I find that they're all as believable or unbelievable as each other, and I think that people will just naturally dismiss the ones that don't suit the narratives that they have in their heads and will lean into the ones that do tell the story that they want, because it's easier to do it that way. In reality, I don't think any of us have the foggiest idea of where we are financially, where we will go in January. Will we spend money? Won't we? How much? What do those players look like and in what positions? Right now, I think it's as much guesswork as playing roulette. And that's why I'm going to hold fire. I'm going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. And if on February the 1st, the situation looks bleak and we haven't done anything like enough of the things that we need to do to give us any chance of staying in the top 4 this season, then 100% are we right behind the same narrative as the growing trend is that is emerging in the Tottenham space right now. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Am I missing the point? A lot of you said I was missing the point yesterday, which is fine. I often do. But let me know, guys. Let me know. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. And as always, bye bye.